but warned that if I didn't look the part, Human Resources would send me home with nothing but a stack of complimentary magazines. "Make sure you look good, Jacqueline. Get a blowout and a manicure before you come in, and you might want to tone up a little, too." I knew that the girls in New York looked like models, but this was a job interview, not the velvet rope at spa. Nevertheless, I had an outstanding resume and a charming personality. How could they not hire me? Obviously, I had much to learn. "So, how'd it go?" Naomi asked. We met outside for a cigarette after my interview. I didn't smoke, but I like to pretend that I did. Smoking looks so good on me. I opened the LL Bean Boat tote that I used as a handbag, realizing that it didn't look right with the heavy gabardine pantsuit that I was wearing in June. It was the only suit that I owned at the time, and it was all wrong. Everything about me was wrong. I had put my hair up in a messy ponytail because I was sweating in all that wool, and my clunky Nine West shoes needed shining, but why bother shining $40 shoes? No makeup, no tan, no manicure. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I showed Naomi the stack of free magazines that the Human Resources manager had given me before she showed me the way out. "They would have given you a job," Naomi told me, "if you had put yourself together like I told you to." Naomi was wearing a giraffe print Tracy Fife dress, gold stiletto-heeled sandals, and huge gold bangles on her arms. This is what entry-level employees wore to the office at Condé Nast. She looked like Vogue. She looked like Mademoiselle. I realized just how dumpy I looked in comparison. "Did they make you sit in one of the skinny chairs?" Naomi asked, but I wasn't sure what she was talking about. "They have these chairs in there. If your ass goes over the edges when you sit down, they won't hire you." She glanced at my posterior. "I don't think you fit in." "Too much pizza and beer up at Syracuse," I said, embarrassed that I was too big for the big girls at Condé Nast. Naomi looked horrified. "New York girls don't eat," she said. "Learn it, live it." If Washington's dirty little secret was sex, New York's was its epidemic of eating disorders. Everybody had one. It was just a part of the big city makeover that every girl got when she realized that she needed to step up her game. You start getting your hair blown out and your nails done, and you buy yourself a Kate Spade handbag and a whole new size 0 wardrobe at the Toca sample sale. When you're done shopping, you have no money left to buy food anyway, so it's just as well. Not that I was paying for anything anymore. Now that I was thin and gorgeous, New York was the friendliest city in the world. Guys held doors for me. I no longer had to stand on line for anything. And it seemed like rich men were always looking for an underfed waif who needed a benefactor. Why would they be so generous with a girl they hardly knew? Because unlike their ungrateful wives and spoiled mistresses, I showed these men some appreciation, and the nicer I was to them, the nicer they would be to me. It was win-win. I considered all of this a learning experience. No matter what girl power bullshit you read in Sassy magazine or what your ivory tower women's studies professors try to tell you, this world is no meritocracy. It revolves around looks and money, period. So I was going out every night, and yes, I was taking drugs and having one-night stands and all that crazy shit that young, gorgeous people do. I was unemployed, living in a city that never sleeps, so why not go out and have a good time? I almost didn't want to be employed. I didn't want to be one of those dreary people who had to get out of bed at 8 in the morning to go to some pain-in-the-ass job every day. Nevertheless, I once again felt like I was missing out on something. I mean, every time you met someone new, the first question they always ask is, "What do you do?" I could only be a party girl for so long. After I hit 22, it just looked sad. I needed a career, if only for appearance sake. My friend Diane hired me for a high-paying copywriting position at an internet startup some rich dude had put her in charge of. Of course, they were fucking, so she could do whatever she wanted, and I could do whatever I wanted because I was good friends with my boss. Diane met Naomi and me when we were interns at MTV Networks the summer before my sophomore year. Diane was the one who took us to Twilo for the first time. Naomi and I weren't into the club scene back then. We didn't understand what all the hype was about. Twilo was just a big black room with a disco ball filled with sweaty people and thumping trance music. If you were sober, it was a living hell. Then Diane gave us our first hits of ecstasy, and we understood everything. About a half hour after dropping, Twilo suddenly became heaven on earth, and Diane became our new best friend. Naomi eventually left her shit-paying job at Mademoiselle to join Diane and me at the .com, so it was the three of us, working and partying together again. We were paid huge salaries to nurse each other's hangovers in the morning and shop for party outfits at Century 21 in the afternoon. And we ran a website when we weren't too busy. During the .com era, there were IPO parties every night of the week on Wall Street. I eventually met my fiancé at one such party. He thought I was a waitress because I was carrying a tray full of drinks, but I was really stocking up before the open bar ended. I gave him a vodka gimlet from my tray, and he gave me a $20 tip, which I thought was very nice. I gave the 20 back to him, shoving it down his pants. He invited me to his table, and we hit it off right away. Mike was a brawny Irish Catholic boy from Woodside, Queens, a son of a firefighter who made good on Wall Street. With his freckles and curly brown hair, I found him absolutely adorable, and he wasn't an asshole or a pervert like most of the Wall Street guys I'd met. I felt very lucky to have found a normal guy in New York and believed that Mike was the man I would marry. Diane's .com inevitably went bankrupt, and the rich guy dumped her. We lost our cushy jobs, putting an end to all the fun we were having. The party was over, and we had to get real jobs in the real world. But I was able to put off my job search indefinitely when Mike asked me to move in with him. He paid all the bills and gave me a shopping allowance, which begged the question, why bother working when I can be a wealthy housewife? I had plenty of leisure time to work on my backhand, read every Harry Potter book in print, and try the recipes in the New York Times Magazine. Mike took very good care of me. It was my reward for looking pretty, smiling all the time, and cooperating in the bedroom. I was ready to marry young and retire from the fly life. I already had the typical when I was young and crazy and lived in New York experience that included excessive drug use, group sex, crazy boyfriends, and lots of dancing. At this point in my life, cooking spaghetti dinners and renting movies with Mike every Saturday night felt good, like I was in rehab or something. But as the months passed, I started to feel like a mental patient, watching television and reading magazines all day. Naomi and Diane had settled down with careers and pseudo-husbands of their own, so I had nobody to go out with anymore. I asked Mike to take me out, but he hated the club scene. He was an awful dancer, and drugs frightened him. My nightlife was ruined, and it was all Mike's fault. He was obviously robbing me of all the fun I deserved to have as a young, gorgeous female in Manhattan. So I began acting out. I stopped cleaning, and the apartment turned to squalor. I quit cooking and insisted on eating out every night. I made him watch Gone with the Wind instead of the Super Bowl. I guess I knew that I could get away with all of this because Mike loved me so much, but I was really in no position to pick any fights with him. I had no money of my own and a growing employment gap on my resume. I had no security until we made it legal. Therefore, I had to get him to marry me. Ever since we started living together, everyone kept asking me when the big day was. Apparently, when you're female, your wedding day is the big moment that your entire life is leading up to. So I waited for Mike to propose. I waited and waited. Finally, he did, while we were on vacation in the Virgin Islands, where he could buy my engagement ring tax-free. But I wasn't waiting all this time to get engaged. I wanted to get married, run down to City Hall, fill out the forms, and move on with our lives. But no, we had to plan a wedding, my big day. But to me, an engagement was just a way of stalling, and the 4-carat ring on my finger was just Mike's way of buying himself more time. Time to bail out on me, time to change his mind. I cradled myself in resentment towards him for making me wait. While I was busy stewing in my own juices, life was passing me by. I hadn't been to Twilo in months. Then the city shut down the club in a drug bust one Saturday night. It was the end of an era.